By February 1984, Michael Jackson's accident had been the subject of news reports for weeks. The publicity had only served to heighten the suspense about the forthcoming Pepsi commercials, which were to be aired for the first time during the upcoming Grammy Awards program. Some people began talking about their debut as if they were among the most news-related events of the century. Before the Grammys, the commercials would be unveiled at a black tie event for 1,000 bottlers at New York's Lincoln Center. The commercials will be screened for the press in New York. Have the world premiere on MTV at no cost to the sponsor, and then finally appear as customary commercials during the Grammy telecast. Down to the very last minute, though, Michael gave the Pepsi Cola company a difficult time. When he saw the finished project, actually two commercials, the concert scene and a street scene featuring Michael with dancer Alfonso Rubio, Michael immediately insisted that they were not good enough. Michael hated them. There was too much of his face in the concert spot, he said. The bigger problem is that Michael wouldn't talk directly to the Pepsi executives about his concerns. Either he was acting spoiled or he was shy. No one was sure. Roger and Renko went telephoned Joseph to complain that they wouldn't make the commercials better if Michael refused to talk about them. No matter what people may have thought about Joseph personally, they respected the fact that he was usually willing to at least listen to them. If he found an idea had merit, he would do his best to convince Michael to consider the proposal favorably. Look, it's not easy for Michael, Joseph Jackson told one Pepsi executive. He has great ideas, but he can't always express them. Let me help. I can act as a go between and make it easier on everybody. I know the kid. I know how he thinks. A few hours later, Joseph called Roger. I have Michael here, he said, and I'm sure you guys can work things out. There was a pause. Go ahead, talk to the man, Joseph originally whispered. Get on the phone, Michael. Michael got on the line. He then complained to Roger that he was made to take off his sunglasses during the taping and that he really didn't want to do that. He had been promised, he said, that there will only be one close up without the shades, and I see lots of close ups of me with my glasses off. Moreover, he felt that there was too much of him in the commercials. Way over 4 seconds of my face. The film was too dark. He spins twice during the routine, and I only agreed to one spin. Michael reminded Roger. Also, in the commercial of Alfonso Rubio, which he liked and said was magic, just magic, he wanted bells to sound with Alfonso bumped into him when they danced, like the sound of a wind chime. Bells? Enrico asked, dazed. Yes, bells. Both commercials were quickly re-edited with Michael's changes in place. Michael then took a look at the new product and telephoned Roger Erecno with the verdict. Hello, Mr. Erecno. This is Michael Jackson, he said. You know the person you spoke to the other day about the Pepsi commercials? Roger remembered. The commercial with Alfonso Rubio was fine, he said. However, there was still too much of him in the concert advertisement. He was seen for a total of 5 seconds. There should only be 4 seconds of his image, he said. Also, he was seen smiling in one dance moment. So I never smile when I dance, Michael explained. Oh, on February 2nd, Michael was inducted into the Guinness of Book Records during a ceremony at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City in recognition of Thriller having broken all records for album sales at 25 million copies. CBS Records held a black tie party for 1,500 guests at the Museum of Natural History. Muggle was accompanied to the event by actress Brooke Shields. Her people had gotten in touch with his people and suggested that she would be the perfect date. Why not? Michael decided. When Michael got back to Los Angeles, he met with Joseph, Catherine, his brothers, and Don King to tell them what he had to say about the tour. I want to rename it, he said. I don't like Victory Tour. I want to call it the final curtain. Michael wanted to make it clear that the upcoming tour will be the end of the road for him and his brothers. Once they finish, he will not work with the Jacksons again. Thus, the final curtain. None of his brothers liked that name at all. Ronald recalled, our parents didn't like it either. Michael was making it sound like a funeral, like someone had died, but we weren't dying. Michael wasn't happy with the name Victory Tour because of the obvious implication that the tour was somehow a victorious indication. Actually, he felt that he's been defeated by being coaxed by his mother in participating in the event as far as the new name was concerned. However, he was, not surprisingly, outvoted. How many Grammys do you think I will win? Michael asked Quincy Jones. Quincy shrugged. Smart man. He knew better after the Thriller outburst than to make any predictions. Well, all I can say is hope I win a lot of them, Michael said with a smile. A review of the history of the Grammys, the awards, the program that the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences established in the late 1950s as a pop music equivalent of the Oscars, reveals that Grammy winners are not always the true premium artists and recordings of their time. For example, Elvis Presley never won a Grammy for any of his major pop vocal performances, even though he was the most influential pop artist of the last 40 years. Chuck Berry was also re- recently admitted. The Beatles only received 4 Grammys, which is amazing considering their impact on popular music and our culture. Bob Dylan's groundbreaking Highway 61 Revisited album won no Grammys in 1965. David Bowie's important Ziggy Stardust collection didn't even want a nomination in 1972. James Brown, the Rolling Stones, Sly Stone, and Diana Ross had never received Grammy Awards. Quite simply, the 6,000 notoriously conservative people who vote for those awards are not apt to quickly recognize the importance and significance of new artists. There are also other political considerations. It has long been rumored that both the nominating process and the final electoral process of the Grammy Awards are dominated by major record companies that have turned the award into a self calling calling Nigeria a sham. By 1983, this contest had come down to a struggle between two large superpowers, the Wonder Brothers, Actual Asylum, Atlantic Active Faction, WEA, and the Columbia Epic Faction, CBS. As a result, it was very difficult for non WEA and non CBS record artists to win Grammys. Motown artists, with the exception of Stevie Wonder, were usually not even in the running. In fact, in 1982, CBS won 21 of a possible 62 awards, including all the major citations. Michael wasn't interested in the politics of the Grammy Awards. Who cares? He once told a friend. All I want is as many of them as I can get. He didn't have to worry. Michael Jackson was quite simply too popular for the Academy to ignore. He was so popular, in fact, that everyone agreed on his importance. He had become rock music's most commonly celebrated hero, and he was a CBS artist to boot. When the Grammy nominations were announced, he received an unprecedented 12 nominations, the highest number of mentions for any single performer in Grammy history, including Record of the Year, Beat It, Album of the Year, Thriller, and Song of the Year, Beat It, and Billie Jean. A nomination for Best Children's Recording for his narration of E.T. Nominations for the engineers who remixed the intermedial track of Billie Jean for the B-side of a single, and for the songwriters who wrote PRIT for his album. Nominations for his producer, Quincy Jones, and an additional Best Producer nomination jointly shared by Michael and Quincy. In fact, Johnson's closest competitor was Jones, his producer and occasional arranger, who received 6 nominations. Along with Thriller, the Police's Sugamanacy and the Flashdance soundtrack also received nominations for Album of the Year, as did Billy Joel's An Innocent Man and David Bowie's Let's Dance.